Hey, what do you say, Weekend Warriors? Today we're smoking up some old school baby back ribs. They're gonna be smoky, they're gonna be fall off the bone tender, and they're gonna be delicious. That's right, we're smoking some old school ribs today. I'm using my vertical smoker. You could use any kind of smoker you want. Just set that thing to about 275 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm using some cherry wood, I'm using some oak, and you can use your favorite. Maybe you like pecan, maybe you've got a nice pellet blend you like to use. Just use whatever you like for pork. I'll give you a quick look inside the firebox here today so we can see what's going on. I'm using all wood, no charcoal, just straight splits. Here's a nice big dense piece of cherry that I'm gonna throw on there. We'll let that catch. And that's oak underneath. So I like to rotate throughout the cook. I'll be using a little bit of both there. So that fire is raging. Let's get right to these ribs. I have 3 racks of baby backs. These are trimmed up really nice already from the grocery store, so there's not a whole lot I need to do. And the first step is I'm gonna put some slices into the membrane. Of course, you can pull it off if you like to pull it off. I really don't think it makes that big of a difference, but to each their own. And especially if I'm doing volume, if I'm doing a lot of ribs, I really don't have time to sit there and peel all that off. So that's my choice. That's how I like to do it. And like I said, you could do it however you want. But I'm gonna score it. This will allow some seasonings. It's also gonna help it to cook and break down. And then I need a binder for my seasonings today. So you could use yellow mustard. Sometimes I've used apple juice. Today I'm using some hot sauce. This is kind of old school. That's how a buddy of mine used to do this about 20 years ago. It tastes good. It's not going to be too spicy. By the time it cooks, a lot of that spice will be gone. But it does add some flavor. And what we're looking for is just something to make that surface a little tacky, a little wet, and that'll help our rub stick. So just rub it in. Make sure you get it on the edges, on the bones. Okay, so that's the backside. Right here for the rub, I'm keeping it old school too. So on the bottom you see pepper. Right in the middle is some salt. On the top is paprika. So I'll just give it a shake. Make sure it gets nice and blended. And then just a very light, even coat of the seasoning on the back and on the sides. These are going to be so good. All right, now we're going to flip them over and do the exact same thing on the meat side. Let's get these little piggies in the smoke. So again, I've got it set to 275 degrees Fahrenheit today. I do have water in the bottom of my cooker. If I was using my vertical smoker, I would put some water in that pan too. I'm going to be cooking today right about the center rack, so we'll get this pulled out of here. And I'm going to take the meatier side, put it towards the back, the thin side towards the front. The back of my smoker is a little bit hotter than the front. And then I'm just going to take and bunch these bones together, make that meat nice and thick, and that should help them cook a little more even. Same thing with this dude. Bunch up those bones, keep it nice and straight. And then we'll get our last little piggy on here. There we go. And then just take a look, see if you disturbed any of the rub too much. This is kind of your last chance to get it on there, because our friends are about to get a nice smoke bath for the next couple hours. We're not even gonna look at it. Let's get this door closed. And I'm gonna come back in about 2 hours to spritz these. So sticking with that old school theme, we're gonna use some beer as the spritz, and I'll be showing you that. In the meantime, for me, I just gotta relax, make sure this fire keeps going. If you're using your pellet smoker, even better. Nothing for you to do, and we'll see you back in a couple hours. Can't wait. we're coming up almost on the 2-hour mark. Let's get this guy open. Let's check on our ribs. Oh yeah, that's looking good. Give it the old tap test, and our rub is sticking, which is good. That's what we want. And for the spritz, I'm using some beer. Grab yourself a can of Coors or something premium like a Busch Latte. Get that in there, and we'll give them a spritz. Just gonna rehydrate the seasonings, kind of wash off any excess smoke. We don't need to go too heavy. And I'm gonna start doing this now about every 25 minutes or so. And we'll let these stay in the smoke for another maybe hour before we wrap them. So I'll spritz them a couple more times. Let me just check that undercarriage, make sure it's not burning. We're looking good. The membrane's starting to break away. Nice color. I think what I'm going to do though is rotate. There we go. And we'll get this closed up. Like I said, I'll spritz every 20 minutes over the next hour. Then we're going to come back, wrap these up in foil, and show you the next step. And we're coming up right on about the 3-hour mark, so we're getting ready to wrap those ribs. I need to do a barbecue sauce, and what I'm going to show you is a really simple technique I learned from Aaron Franklin. But before I do, check this out. So, big thank you to the Chatham family from Charlotte, North Carolina, who sent me this massive butcher block. This thing's like 2 inches thick, about 2 feet long. It's made of cherry, and it's got the Weekend Warrior BBQ on there, which is awesome. I really appreciate that. The Chathams are longtime subscribers. They're members of the Weekend Warrior Barbecue Facebook group, and I'll leave a link to their friend who made this for me. It's really impressive. He does some nice work. He's got a Facebook page. I'll leave a link below. So definitely check that out. And again, thank you. And let's do this sauce. So the way Aaron Franklin does ribs is a little bit different than I've seen elsewhere. He doesn't sauce his at the end like you see most people do, including myself. He sauces them kind of in the middle of the cook, and then he lets all the grease drippings and fat mix in with that sauce when they're wrapped, and that ends up being the final sauce too on the ribs. So what he does, he takes his favorite barbecue sauce. I'm going to use one of my favorite store-boughts, which is this Jack Daniel's Original. This is fantastic for a store-bought. I really like it. So he'll take some of that, and then he dilutes it by half with apple cider vinegar. So we're going to get that in there. This is going to thin out the sauce and work some magic here. So I have done this before. I think it works great. Just going to mix it here in my little squeeze bottle. And let's head over to the ribs. All right. Let's get that door open, pull these guys out of here. And what he does, just before he puts the sauce on, he gives them one last spritz. Says you don't want to put that sauce on dry because it won't spread properly. So that's what I'm going to do. And then what you're going to do, come along with your sauce. See how nice and watery that is? Then he just takes his hand and rubs it in. And my rub is sticking, it's not going anywhere. That's formed a real nice crust. Just make sure we get all of it. Perfect. So I'm going to do this to all three. Just like that. They're going to go back in the smoke for about 5-10 minutes to set up. Then we're going to wrap them in foil and finish them off. Okay, so just before you put your ribs down on the foil, we're going to add a little bit of beer or whatever you used as a spritz. Tiny bit of sauce. And now what's going to happen is I'm going to put the ribs meat side down like I always do. I'll put just a little bit more sauce on top. And now as these continue to cook and all those juices go to the bottom of the foil, all those flavors are going to mix together and create our final sauce. And then very carefully, I'm gonna wrap these up, being careful not to let a bone poke through the foil. You don't want to lose any of the juices. If you do get a bone to poke through, add an additional layer of foil. And once you've got them wrapped in foil, get them back in your smoker. I'm gonna let these braise until they are probe tender. Usually I'll take a toothpick and I'll poke it in and out of the foil. If it goes in with ease, I know they're done. It could take an hour, it could take 2 hours. You'll just have to play it by ear. No two slabs of ribs are the same. And so we're gonna come back when they are tender. And guess what? 2 hours in the foil, so a total cook time of 5 hours. I've just let them sit in the foil to cool down for about 20 minutes. I put a toothpick in and out. They were super tender, so I know they're ready. And here's how we're gonna do this. Dump it out. Get all those juices on there. The color on them is absolutely gorgeous. That's a pretty looking rack of ribs right there. So let's not mess around. We'll go ahead and cut them. I'm gonna flip it back over just so I can see the bones easier. And I'll just cut right between the bones. Okay, then we'll flip them back over, one shot. There we go. Wow, guys, wow. Smoke ring, nice and sticky from that sauce. I gotta get a bite. I can't stand it anymore. Here we go. It's just the most tender rib you'll ever eat. Oh my God. And I'll tell you what, if you like this video, definitely check out one of those two right there. Give me a big like, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you over there. Come on, guys. Doesn't get better than that.